Okay, this is just a quick run through of the issue with the message that tells customers their credit card is going to be stored and its impact on booking count. So this is just to show sort of how things typically go, right? So we have a zipline tour. We've got them enticed to come in here. They get enticed to click on the detail page, and then they say, oh, okay, I want to book. Get to check front, and we track this with a goal in Google Analytics that says, you know, how many people reached that reserve page in check front. So that's the reserve page that we're calling it the reserve page. Okay, now we know that there's 40% fewer users coming in, makes sense. And that sort of correlates with 39.27% of people clicking on the link that took them to the reserve page. So we have 40% fewer people that reached the reserve page. Interestingly, and we don't want to look at the numbers, the absolute numbers of people, because that would just always be lower. So we want to make sure we're looking just at percentage, and that helps us understand the behavior and how people are moving forward. The percentages between last year and this year and previous years should be pretty similar. So if we look at the percentage of these people, the 40% fewer people, which is like 11,000, 7% more actually went into the check front booking process. And then if we book, we're going to book here. Okay, and continue. We're going to want to know how many people actually made it to this page. And I would be calling that the view cost page up here in our goals, view total cost. Okay. And we have 5% fewer people clicking into that page this year than last year. That is not an alarming number. That just means people are being more cautious, and so they're just looking and then going in there. So I'm going to go into this a little further as if I'm a customer. Okay, so I'm just going step by step like a customer might have to do, except I'm not filling in an address. Okay, so we get to the payment page, and we're going to call that, we call that in the tracking of the sales funnel here, the reached card entry page. And again, we have roughly 6% of people, fewer people this year than last year getting to that next step. So even though we've got 46% fewer absolute numbers of people getting in there, that's still an okay, non-alarming number. People are just being more cautious. And again, this is for the month of May this year versus month of May last year. Okay, so from this page, we have the point where we would normally type in a credit card number and all that, and then pay. And we're going to track the number of people that actually paid and went to the receipt page, which is like view required documents page. I am not going to pay $258.16 for the purpose of making this video, but I do want to mention that this weighs a lot in people's minds. Okay, so the very first person I even asked about if there's anything in here that would alter their interest in proceeding with payment, this was basically the immediate alarming thing. I didn't even mention this, but they're like, no way I'm going to have my card details stored. There's been too many breaches. There's too much credit card fraud. Sorry, not going to do it. And the thing is, you got two other competitors, and they're probably doing it the normal way, which is not saying that. And in fact, there is no credit card details being stored, just a token. And that's the way all e-commerce shopping carts work. They store a token to the order. It's a reference to the actual order so that they can refund it or update it. And that change in the order and the charge, the corresponding charge, goes up or down based on what happens in the merchant. So the merchant being HFAC in this case. So the only point where you would store credit card details is for what they call card on file transactions, and you would need consent for that. The card on file transaction is one where if somebody is a regular customer and they normally come to buy stuff and they have logged in and stored their credit card for future purposes, and this would be similar to Amazon, then yes, you would have to have somebody give consent like here. But that's not the case in this situation or almost any other checkout system where you're a guest checkout and you don't have to provide login details. So not relevant, actually. This situation, this statement is not relevant, and I've not seen it on any other e-commerce site. That's why this is quite alarming. And if you do see it, it would be like an opt-in, and then that would correspond to a set up a username and password so that you could go back in and securely buy something else without risking somebody else buying it. Anyway, we want to see how many people, percentage-wise, not absolute number-wise, went past this page and into the actual payment, right? So they've paid and gone to what we call the required documents page. So it's equivalent to a thank you page and saying, okay, you've paid. Now here's the required documents. And guess what? It went from about 6% to 17%. Okay, and that is almost entirely likely to be attributable to that message. And it's totally legitimate that people would be alarmed. There's 2 other competitors that probably don't do that. So some of these folks would very likely go to the competitors. So it's lost bookings. And that on top of the pandemic and the fact that we're down 53% here already in number of bookings, that's a big deal. So, and this is just going to have more and more dollar value associated with it as June, July, and August come through. This 17% is going to have a lot more importance in absolute dollar value of bookings. So that's the scoop, and hope that helps.